Hey guys, I am coming to you again. This is Wednesday as I'm recording this, still wearing the same hat. So I'm still showing you the bedroom here, but this is gonna be poetry lesson 3. I'll be posting it Thursday morning prior to our Zoom session. And it's kind of goes along with the Zoom session. So I don't feel obligated to watch this beforehand, but I definitely would watch it afterwards if you don't get a chance to. Yeah, and, maybe I'll post it before. I don't know. So lesson number 3 in poetry. Um, at this point, you should have written 6 to 10 poems, right? 3 to 5 poems for Monday and 3 to 5 poems for Wednesday. Okay. Today's application is a continued continued application of analyzing those poems for structure and for meaning. And you might say, wait, we've been doing that? Well, yes, when you were looking for poetic elements in your poems or when you were looking in mine, you were analyzing it for structure. And when you were thinking about those poems and what they meant and understanding its figurative language, you're analyzing it for meaning. So at a very basic level, you absolutely were. Now, of course, we're going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, you ready? Here we go. What we're going to start to do today is kind of like annotating that we do for our stories and stopping and jotting. We're going to take time to look at things. But in poetry, it's not the whole, sometimes we're making comments about the whole poem, but oftentimes it's every single line that we're looking at. We're looking at each line, we're looking at each stanza, each verse, and all together, okay? So I want to, for today's lesson, we're going to look at my examples that I posted. We're going to use my number 7 and we're going to use my number 9. And I specifically chose observational poems and not my riddle poems because there's more deeper meaning here in these observational ones. So let me remind you of what number 7 looks like, okay? Silly students, chatting children, playful pupils, quietly working, carefully writing, some indeed are. Too many unfocused, talking too loudly, distracted as can be. Okay? Take a moment, maybe reread that, think about that. Now I'm going to stop the share because I don't necessarily want you to see all the hints that I'm going to give you if you keep reading on that document. So if you've printed that out before, you can obviously look at it. So what do you think? Remember that list of poetic elements that we've talked about? And I hope you did print that. There are 8 that we're really focusing on. Now, honestly, there are more than 8, but we're just going to focus on 8, okay? So we're talking about metaphor, simile, rhyme, alliteration, repetition, personification, onomatopoeia, and rhythm. Okay, those are the 8 that we're going to focus on. They're some of the major elements of poetry. Okay, so what do we see in poem number 7? So let's look back at poem number 7. What do we see? Do you see simile? I see an as. Well, but is that as comparing with something else? No. So there's no simile there. How about rhyme? Because we've got working and we've got writing. Well, yes, there is rhyme there. But does anything else rhyme? No. So there isn't a pattern of rhyme in this poem. So we would not say that this poem rhymes. Okay. Is there alliteration? Well, some of you might say, oh yeah, look, Mr. Earl, first stanza, silly students, chatting children, playful pupils. And then I'm going to remind you, you need to go back to that definition for alliteration. You need 3 repetitions of the same sound, the same consonant sound for alliteration. So silly students, how many S's do we have? 2. Chatting children, 2. Playful pupils, 2. So those sound, there's only 2 of them. So now that even with, there's only 2, that does help give it some rhythm. But you would not say that this poem has alliteration. Wait, I'm looking, do you guys see it? Oh, There is an instance of alliteration in this poem. Who has found it? Look carefully. Do you see it? To, talking to. I've got three t sounds very close together. You might say, but Mr. Earl, that's on two different lines. Does that count? And absolutely, yes. It depends on how long the lines are, okay? So if your poem lines are short, they can occur within a few lines of each other. It depends on how you hear it, okay? So when you read it aloud, if you hear that same sound 3 or more times in a short amount of space, there's alliteration. So you would definitely say, too many unfocused, talking too loudly. There's that t sound, so there's alliteration. Is it a repetition or personification or onomatopoeia? No, not in this one, okay? But what about rhythm? There is kind of a rhythm to that. Not a, how do we tell? How can we tell? So here's where we're gonna need to start counting syllables, okay? So what I've done is I've already broken up this poem. You can see I have rewritten it. And then I'm looking at the first word in this line has 2 syllables, silly. The second word has 2 syllables, students, for a total of 4 syllables. So I can see that the first stanza is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, for a total of 4, 4, and 4. I see that pattern. When you look at the second stanza, quietly working, carefully writing, and yes, note I highlighted for the rhyme. 3, 2, 3, 2. Some indeed are. 1, 2, 1. Okay, so that's a 5, 5, 4 overall. And you might say, Mr. Earl, does it have to be 5, 5, 5? No, doesn't have to be. Too many unfocused, talking too loudly, distracted as can be. Well, this one kind of seems way off. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1. 6, 5, 6. So there isn't much rhyme. As I said, there wasn't much rhyme. And because there's not much rhyme, the rhythm and the flow of the poem is going to be based on the number of sounds. And that's where we're looking for the patterns in the syllable count, okay? It's not really there, but it's kind of close, right? So what could we do, okay? Maybe we could change this line to make it 3, 2 as well. That's something I could do, okay? And I'm gonna think on that, okay? The third stanza, like this one's close if you look at 6, 5, and 6, but the amount of words and all of these, like, if I wanted to make this kind of match up the same, I'm gonna really have to change this third stanza. And you know what? Sometimes poets will do that because that's what they want, okay? As the poet, you get to make all of these choices. No one's saying that you need to do it or how to do it. If you want to keep the way things are, then great. But sometimes it's fun to try and edit just to see how it sounds, okay? This is where I think it's also helpful to think about, what do I mean in this poem? What is this about? This poem is about an observation I made in my classroom where some students were being silly, chatting, and playful. And some students were working quietly, carefully writing, being focused and thinking. And I was writing about this difference and how I wanted more of the quietly working, carefully thinking, and less of the being silly. And so that's what I was trying to get to with that third stanza, and it kind of comes out all weird. And I'm not satisfied with it. It's part of why this is an okay poem to me, but it's definitely not one of my favorites because I haven't spent the time. I bet you if I spent more time analyzing it, probably changing the third stanza, I could make it better, okay? Word choice is so important for a poet. You definitely need to get yourself a good thesaurus. You probably already have a dictionary, but also a rhyming dictionary will be super helpful. Now, I love having the book, And Scholastic has a great rhyming dictionary, and hopefully you already have a dictionary or even a thesaurus at home. If you don't, a dictionary.com is a great resource, and there's also a thesaurus on dictionary.com, and then Rhymer, like rhyme, but with an R, rhymer.com is also a great online rhyming dictionary, though there are definitely more of those available if you wanted to search, okay? Oh, by the way, I was just thinking, instead of some indeed are, what if I change it to creative thinking? Kind of follows that pattern. It would come back to that creative thinking, the 3-2 for that second stanza. Okay, all right. I think that's what I would do. I would change that right there to make it creative thinking. By the way, did you notice when you write poems, oftentimes the first word in each line is capitalized, but you can also choose not to have it capitalized. That's up to you. If you are trying to write in a Word document or a Google Docs, though, just know that they will probably try to automatically have you capitalize every first word. So if you don't want it to be capitalized, you're going to have to adjust that setting, okay? But I'm not sure what I want to do yet about the third stanza. So I want you to maybe give me your ideas first. So have at it. Look at that third stanza. The idea is to keep the general flow of the poem the same, okay? Like you know what the poem means, since I told you 3 paragraphs ago. What can you come up with? If you get a chance, I'd love to hear your ideas on Friday, okay? But that's not the end of this lesson, okay? That's not the end of this lesson. We really need to focus also on how rhyme affects the rhythm. So I've chosen another poem, my poem number 9, okay, which definitely has more rhyme. So let's look at this one. Once upon a time, in a fabulous wonderland, there was a little school with a coyote as a brand. Students and teachers worked hard every day, math, science, language, arts, and at recess we play. Okay? When you read it aloud, you hear the words that rhyme, correct? Underline or highlight them. Okay? You can see I've already put dotted lines under them for to kind of help you out. When the last word on a line in a poem rhymes with the last word on another line in the same poem, we say that those 2 lines rhyme together, okay? Since the rhyme in this poem follows a pattern, we say that this poem rhymes. If there was rhyme in one stanza but not the other, since there's only 2 stanzas, we wouldn't say that the poem rhymed, just like in the previous. Since there was rhyme, but there wasn't a pattern of rhyme, we didn't say that number 7 rhymed, whereas number 9 does, okay? Now, a longer poem might even have a pattern of rhyming stanzas and unrhyming stanzas, but again, it becomes about the pattern. Analyzing a poem just based on rhyme can get very complicated, okay? But that's kind of what we need to start to do. So when we start to analyze this poem, we're going to analyze it for syllables and for rhyme, okay? When we analyze for rhyme, we're going to use the letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way up to Z. If we have a poem that's 26 lines, that's a very long poem. But we're going to use the letters of the alphabet to designate different sounds. For example, on a poem where the first ending sound in line 1, we're going to give that an A. Whatever the first ending sound of any first poem, any poem, okay? So now we're going to say that that ending sound, that's A in that poem, okay? And then we look at line 2. What's the ending sound at the end of line 2? If the sound at line 2 is the same as line 1, meaning those 2 lines rhyme, we would also say that that is an A line. But if it doesn't rhyme with the first, we're going to give it a B, okay? What about line 3? Well, if that line rhymes with any of the previous, we'll use that A or B to say which one it rhymes with. Otherwise, we'll give it a C if it doesn't rhyme with either one of them, okay? And you keep going down your poem, okay? Most rhyming poems aren't hard to figure out, but if you're up for a challenge, check out Shakespeare's sonnets, some of the most amazing rhyming poems on the planet. Very deep, very complex. Uh, Fabulous. Check them out. So here's how I'd break down this poem. Notice what I did. On the left side, I listed how many syllables are in each line. Once upon a time, 5. In a fabulous wonderland, 8. There was a little school. Oh, yeah, 6. With a coyote as a brand, 8. Students and teachers, 5. Worked hard every day, 5. Math, science, language, arts. Math, science, language, arts. Got to be careful. Sometimes we say things faster. Science, that's 6. And at recess, we play, 6. Now with the rhyme, time being the first one, so that first line gets an A. Wonderland does not rhyme with time, so it gets a B. School doesn't rhyme with time or wonderland, so it's a C. But brand rhymes with land, so it gets a B. Teachers is different, it's a D. Every day is different, that's an E. Language arts is separate, it's an F. Play is an E. So this poem, this 8-line poem, follows the pattern A, B, C, B, D, E, F, E. Okay? And when you start to look at poetry this way, you can really see how the sounds and the rhyme affect the rhythm. This poem has a lot more obvious rhythm than the first one I used in this lesson. I could possibly improve on the rhythm in this poem if I changed the second stanza to follow the same syllable pattern as in the first. You might say the stanza 2 has its own pattern, though, because it's 5, 5, 6, 6. And, does that make it an okay poem? Yeah, that's great. Could I make it different if I wanted to? Like maybe make it a 5, 8, 6, 8 instead. Like that means I would need to change the second line and the fourth line of that second stanza. Could I do that? Absolutely. Okay. In poetry, you are in complete control. Just know that whoever reads your poem will often judge it based on what they can easily understand about it, how they relate to it, and how they like how it sounds. Okay? Let me say that again. When you're reading your poem and thinking about it, understand that when someone is reading your poems, they're often going to judge your poem based on how easy they can understand it, how they can relate to it, and how it sounds to them, how they like it sounds. Poetry is meant to be read out loud so you hear it. I always want you to read your poems out loud. Even if you don't want me to hear them, go into your corner, read your poems out loud so you can hear them, okay? I guarantee you it's gonna make a difference, okay? And when you think about it, which poems do you like and why? Oftentimes it's because you can either easily understand it, you like the topic, you can relate to it, or you like how it sounds, okay? So now I want you to go back to the poems you've written this week. Remember those 6 to 10, okay? And I want you to analyze them just like we did for my poems, okay? The better you get at doing this with your own work, the easier it's gonna be when we start analyzing other poems, which is what we're gonna start next week, okay? So again, you're gonna go back and I want you to analyze. When you say, well, again, I want you to analyze based on syllables and rhyme. That's it, okay? So if you want to have syllables on the left-hand side, like the total number, like what we did for poem 9, come right back, show that again, okay? This would be easy. Set this up, do this for each one of your poems. Number out, keep track of the syllables, and keep track of the rhyme, okay? That's what I want you to analyze for today, okay? And lastly, remember I've been telling you a couple times to be thinking about your favorite song. It's been posted on some of the things, remember? Well, now's that time. By Monday, you need to have chosen your favorite song as of right now, okay? And you need to get the lyrics, all right? Now, a good place to go is azlyrics.com, okay? azlyrics.com. I have a link on the Poetry Lesson 3 that I've been showing you. It's going to be posted as well. So azlyrics.com is a great place for that. Remember, it has to be appropriate for school. So G or PG rated only, No bad words. If you're not sure, ask your mom or dad. All right. And if they're like, yeah, no, then you got to choose another one. I know that's going to be much harder for some of you than others. In the end, as long as you like the song, that's all that really matters. The more you like the song, the more you're going to get involved with the project that we're going to do. But if it doesn't happen to be your favorite song, that's still going to be okay. Okay, so by Monday. Oh, and print out the lyrics if at all possible so you can see them because we're going to be analyzing next week. All right? Okay, I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Hope to see you on Friday. Oh, by the way, last little bit for those of you who are hanging on. Special guests Friday. Come to our session at 10.